Hello and welcome, Stand Up World, episode 58, the big 5-8. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Say hello to Patrick Arnold.
Hey, Mike.
In from Boston for the duration. In from Boston via the Laugh Boston and all those clubs back there. And he's the producer. He lost a bet, so he has to produce this show. But he's been handling it pretty nicely. He's not, doing it with a sting. He's just kind of taking his lumps good.
Yep. There's a silver lining to every bad situation. You got to find it.
Have you found this one?
So I'm trying to. Every week it gets a little easier.
Have you met my daughter, Molly? You met my son,
No, I
right?
haven't. Yeah, I met your son. I have not met Molly.
Have I told you she's getting married?
Oh my God, no way. Congrats.
Yep. She's engaged to her girlfriend, who I love. Just gorgeous gal. My wife and I both love her. And does it make me a bad guy that the minute they told me they were engaged, my first thought was, so who pays for the wedding? Who pays for the wedding in the situation? Which father of the bride? Which father of the bride pays for which chapter out of the book of Lesbinicus are we cribbing from here?
Right. And, that's funny.
But
did you ask her? What'd she say?
Well, they said, probably you, Dad. And I go, why? And they said, because you think you're the one that asked. So if just the fact that you brought it up means you should pay for it. And went, oh,
that's
Jesus.
Hilarious.
And my future daughter-in-law, she's Korean.
I think you did tell me that.
Yeah, she's Korean, but she was born here in America, which is weird. Some of these immigrants are actually American.
It's crazy.
It's crazy to think about it, but some of them actually belong here. You gotta slow it down sometimes and just say, hey, these immigrants, some of them, they might have been here a few hundred years, but they're immigrants. No, she's but so she's Korean, but she was born here. Her family's from Korea, but I never asked if she was North or South Korea. But now I'm thinking, if it's North Korea, I'm hoping it's North Korea, because if I got to pay for the wedding, I don't want a lot of relatives flying in.
That's right.
Right?
That'd be good.
And then I'm safe. If it's North Korea, there's very few people getting over that barbed wire to come for the wedding.
Right.
Yeah. But I've been making too many gay jokes in my act about her. And she loves it, but the audience is like, Jesus, this guy makes a lot of gay jokes. And I say, hey, not for nothing. I blew a guy once. Did you know that? I don't think I ever told you that, Patrick, but
no.
But I did. I blew a guy once, and it was many years ago, and back in Michigan, I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. The world was different then, and the kid was only 14.
Oh, here we go.
And I was 12, so I'm not sure what kind of laws were broken. He might have to go to jail, but I will tell you, to this date, it's still the single worst.
Look who we got here. Hold on, Mike.
Oh, there's Harland. Harland, how are you, buddy? Harland Williams. Oh, you just came in. I was telling him a story. This is Patrick, by the way.
Hey, Harland, thanks for being with us.
Harland, you're not going to believe the story that you just walked in on.
What is it?
I was just telling him that I once blew a guy. Okay.
Well, where?
Well, it was in Michigan, and I was saying I could have gotten in a lot of trouble because the kid was 14, and I was 12 at the time. So I don't know. I think it was okay. It was kind of like a childhood experiment thing, you know. And a dare, and I don't know. I put the guy's dick in my mouth, and to this day, it's still the worst tasting thing I've ever put in my mouth. I mean, and granted, I could have gotten one from a bad batch, but I could till I was 32, I could still bring up this horrible taste and this needless shame. But
All right, new topic, please.
wait, let me just finish because I was just telling the story, but I never talked about it.
I'm gonna duck out while you finish it.
No. Let me just finish telling you this. So my dad, I was telling my dad, when I was about 20, he was beating me up. You never finish anything. You didn't finish college. You didn't finish swim team. You didn't finish this class. I go, hey, Dad, if you're going to make that list, don't forget dick sucking, cock sucking, because I dropped out of that class after the first day. So if you're going to make the list, make the list. Anyway, that's what you walked in on, Harlan.
I know. I'm waiting till it's over.
It's over, buddy.
Okay,
it's over, buddy.
Give me a clean intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Harland Williams, my pal.
How are you, man?
It's good to see you.
You too.
Boy, aren't you glad you picked today to come?
Yeah. What's going on, man?
It's so good to see you. I'm doing well. Is that your den there in the background? Is that Harlandville?
This is my office, yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. Say hello to Patrick. Patrick's in Boston.
Hey, man.
Do you ever play any the clubs? Patrick works for John Tobin. Do you ever play any of John Tobin's clubs?
Oh my
gosh. Laugh Boston or what is it? What's the one in Detroit and
the Detroit House of Comedy?
I haven't played in Boston in probably 15 years. I don't know why they never call me up there, but if somebody called me, I'd go.
We should get you, yeah.
I know. I haven't been up there forever.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
But you've also been busy. You just directed a movie, and
yeah,
you're always doing something, man. This guy. It's so funny too. You've been around so long, and because I was out of the business out of the stand-up world for so long, and you stayed in it. You've been in it so long, but you just feel like you still feel so current and fresh to me. You know.
Thank you, man. Well, I think it's attributed to I go up all the time. Like every week, I'm up. If I'm not on the road, I'm doing like 3 or 4 clubs in Hollywood, and not because I'm trying to stay current. I just love it. So I think by default, because I'm up so much, it sort of keeps me current. But it's not like I'm trying to be current. I'm current because I never stop, you know?
And you still love it, right?
I love it. It's like I don't like a week to go by where I'm not up there, like, you know, and the older I get, the more I do it, you know. Part of when I started this mic, I thought, will it get stale? Will I get old? And I find the more I do it, the deeper I get into it, the more I'm learning and uncovering new ways to do it and new methods and new ways of writing and new styles. Like it's this ever-giving sort of flower that keeps blossoming. So it's like this exploration journey for me.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that. And honestly, when I've seen you since I've been back, I feel that. I feel that you feel that. You know, I don't feel that. I don't feel that you are stale in any way at all. You know.
Yeah.
I feel that you're just having fun up there, and you know. I'm very lucky. I'm back a year and a half, and I adore it. I love it. I'm doing it all the time. I feel it's made me younger. You know,
Mike, I want to interject for a minute. I saw you about 3 months ago on stage,
you did?
Because you went away for a long time, I never saw you live before because I didn't work with you when you were on that long break. And I saw you at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood about 2.5, 3 months ago. And I don't know if you remember when you came off stage, you were there with your son. He was recording. And I said, Mike, you were great, man. Like, you did feel fresh and current, and the crowd was loving it. And I was watching it through that lens. Oh, is this guy been away too long? Is it old? Is it tired? And I'm telling you, dude, you rocked it. It was fantastic to see.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you don't remember me saying that to you? You're probably so hyped up you don't remember. And I noticed you like
I do remember. That's the night that I blew you, right? You were the guy in the story I was telling Patrick about. Come back, please. Come back, Jane.
Give me a fresh intro, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Howie Mandel.
Well,
please, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Harland Williams. No, no, that's really nice of you to say, but because you know what, and I'm not going to say names, but I went to lunch a couple times with a few guys from my era and they were like, why are you doing stand-up again? It just sucks, and the crowds suck, and this sucks, and that. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I love it. I love the energy in the rooms, and I love the feeling of it, and I love the new acts. I love the people that are doing it. I feel like people that are doing it for the right reasons.
You know what, Mike? For someone to say the crowd sucks, that to me is preposterous. The crowd never sucks. It's your job to be good for the crowd. Now, if you've got a whole room of people yelling and throwing things, that crowd sucks. But if it's just people in front of you that have come for a show, they never suck. It's up to you to impress them. It's incumbent on you to make them a good crowd. They don't suck. If you think the crowd sucks, you should get out of stand-up.
Do you know Johnny Dark? Did you ever know a comedian named Johnny Dark?
The white guy?
Yeah, Johnny Dark. Yeah, it was a great cop. He had a great line. He used to say, I got to tell you, last night, the crowd, they were horrible. They were booing and pissing and booing the guy before me all through my act.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he's funny, man. Johnny Dark. Oh, man, he's a fun. Yeah, he came to see me in Vegas once, and he's such a he was a staple on Letterman back in the early days, and really fun. Really his very fun, like a very fun, like even though his name insinuates something else, Johnny Dark, I found him to be very light and fun and silly and really great.
So much fun. But I used to love that line because it was so true, man. When if the audience the problem is you. It's not the other comics or the night or the evening.
That's right. I did a show in Scotland at the Fringe Festival one year, and in the Fringe Festival, there's about 800 shows in that city for 3 weeks. The population of the city goes up by 1 million for that festival. It's huge. I was there one year when Chappelle was there, all kinds of people. Because there's so many people and so many acts, they'll put the shows up anywhere, a church basement, an attic, a bar, anywhere. And so me and two other pretty prominent comedians at the time from Canada, we were doing a Canadian show, and it was in the basement of a church. And it was Saturday night, and we should have had a full house. We had two people, a couple, a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And the other two guys refused to go on. They let their ego get in the way, and they forgot about the reason why they were there. And they're like, we're not going on. We're not going on. And so I said, I'm going on. They paid to be here. They want to see a show. And in my head, I went, there's 700 people here. I'm going to give them a show. I went up for an hour and just gave it all I had. And they loved it. And I learned so much from that. And that goes back to what you just said, or we were talking about. It's never the crowd. If there's people there, It's you. Give them a show, and you will always have the crowd if you give them a
By the
great
way,
show.
that's so you. That is so you. I totally, that feels so Harland. Your spirit, and I love that.
Thank
I
you.
I
Well, I'll
love
tell you,
that.
I was really scared, to be honest. I was really nervous, but when I got finished, I felt amazing because I did what I was supposed to do. The people flew me all the way from Canada to do shows. I did it. And those two people, in my mind, were as valid as 2,000 people. And
That's
so
right.
this was earlier in my career, and I learned from doing that, even though I was scared. Is like I said, you just always, always give it. It doesn't matter. And it was so fun and such a learning curve for me. And they loved it.
Well,
They got what they came for.
Well, I'll tell you, and it sounds corny, and I just, but I really like to talk the in the weeds about the craft on this podcast. But one of the reasons why I think I'm a lot better now than when I did it before is that I really try to even talk to myself and to the God and the universe before I go on and say, I'm here to make these people laugh and give them a good time. This is not about me looking good or do whatever. This is about me lighting, bringing some light and some laughter, And when I was a kid, I didn't even have the faintest notion of that. I
What I
just
think
wanted to
the
go up,
key is,
up there
Mike,
and get laid or,
yeah,
or
yeah.
meet.
The key is you brought God and the universe into it, because that makes comedy to me more of a spiritual journey, not in a
Yes,
religious way, but in the
yes.
spirit of humor, in the spirit of pouring your joy and your comedy spirit onto people. And I think that's a place you have to mature into, or you have to know it when you start. But the fact that you said that is a beautiful revelation that you've had about yourself, and that's going to carry you for the rest of your career.
And you know what else it does? And this is what I say: it takes all fear and need away.
Yeah.
As you walk out on that stage, there's no fear and there's no need when you're going out to serve.
Yeah, it's so bizarre, Mike, but it almost feels like you're doing it for a bigger cause, doesn't it? It's
Yes,
almost
yes.
it's beyond the Tonight Show. It's beyond your agent, your managers, even beyond all the other comedians. It's just like this thing you put out there that's just an entity, and it's for you as much as it's for other humans, and it's just this real kind of communal, beautiful, spiritual thing.
And when it works, I will tell you, it's like I say, when I see you up there on stage, Harlan, I know you're having fun. I
Yeah.
know you're enjoying yourself. I know you're not working. I know you're not trying to get over. I know there's no need other than the joy to and to give. And that's why the difference between, and you're right, I think you just have to mature into that, or it has to come naturally. And I have to be honest, as a young guy, I didn't have that. I just, that wasn't my point of view of the world. And I just got into, maybe, so I was really glad when I got into more writing and directing and stuff. But because I thought I was more nervous on stage or something, whereas I don't feel that when I'm in the right place, and I know that I know that audiences need a performer to really be at ease.
Yeah, I think they can feel that. And with all that being said, I think those early years where we didn't necessarily arrive to that calmer place, they're really fun, formative years, because you are sort of walking on rocks and shells and you're finding your way. But as you can attest to from what you just said, when you get to that place where the tide starts to calm and you sort of ride it, and it's almost like the comedy's telling you where to go, and the comedy's coming out of you versus you sitting down and writing it and forcing it. It's such a tranquil, beautiful place to be. It's one. I'm so glad you've got to that place.
I will tell you the other thing that's really interesting is there's a lot of talk about, the audience is too young for me, or am I too old, or too white, or too black? Or I don't ever think like that. I really don't,
Ever.
because laughter is so universal, and to me, and I don't like, and that, by the way, even as a kid, I don't know about you, but I never had a problem playing to black audiences or older audiences. I would, not that I'd go up and make jokes right away, but I never felt worried about that.
No, to me, it's eyes and ears and blood and tissue. And if any race can laugh at a fart joke, or if you all watched an old lady trip on the sidewalk, you'd all laugh the same. So laughter
That's right.
crosses all the barriers, all the genders, all the races. It's a human thing. And it's like singing. It's like music, You don't think rappers listen to classical music or pop music, or someone who plays in an orchestra doesn't listen to Iron Maiden. Like it's music and laughter and comedy and entertainment. That's the beauty of what we do. It's just so crosses every barrier. And yeah.
And the other thing I love about what this new where stand up is it is almost like music that there's all this kind of different styles of stand up and stuff that I might have nothing to do with, but I can still appreciate and love it.
Yeah, it's music's a great comparison, because you wouldn't think it, but there are different styles of comedy, and it's just different notes, different beats. And I was telling someone the other day, I saw a kid on Amateur Night years ago, and he came to America. He was a Japanese comic, and he was up there for 15 minutes, and every punchline was rice. Like he goes, "Oh, I went, my wife the other day, Data, the rice." Every freaking punchline was rice. And then his final bit, he held up a lighter and waved it back and forth and started singing "Purple Rice, Purple Rice." He did the Prince song. And it was so
really funny.
stupid. And he could barely speak English. He had a really, he had the really thick Japanese accent, but it was so dumb. But it's all he knew how to do, and it just killed me. I saw a guy at the same festival in Scotland I was telling you about earlier, the Fringe Festival. This was 20 years ago, maybe 25. I was there, and we went into this theater, and the lights were down in the theater, and on stage there was a drum set, like a 6-piece, 8-piece drum set, a full drum set. And then, all of a sudden we hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome comedian Charlie Chuck." And this guy comes up, and he's got crazy red Scottish hair and freckles and big spaces in his teeth. And this guy just slowly walks onto stage dragging a 2x4. And he's just standing there for about 40 seconds, just looking at the crowd. And he turned around and started beating the living shit out of the drum set with a 2x4. He spent 7 minutes doing that. Thank you, good night. And it was hilarious. Like, it was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Was the audience laughing the whole time?
Oh yeah, because he sort of changed up the physicalness, and he, rolled around, and like he knew how to take 7 minutes and beat the shit without saying a word. He just had a giant piece of timber from Home Depot, and he was like demolishing a perfectly good drum set, and that's the beauty of comedy, man. And everyone in the room laughed at it, so.
That's great. That's really great. I have to tell you, I don't know if you remember, you won't remember this, but the first time I saw you was at the Laugh Factory years ago. Eric Gold took me down to see you, and maybe I wasn't doing stand-up then, but
No,
Eric
you want.
was your manager, and he loved you. He wanted me to see you, and you killed that night. But you were so you were you even then as a young guy, you were so having fun and you were so out there. And you that night you did some stuff that just wasn't in the box at all.
Thank you.
And I loved it. I loved
Thank
it.
you.
But that's how I met you. I
Oh
met you
yeah,
through I met you through Eric.
yeah.
And
Eric was great. Eric managed Jim Carrey and Will Ferrell, and I loved Eric. Man, Eric helped launch my career. Helped launch my acting career and
yeah,
everything. I to this day I love Eric so much. He was such a good
we used
guy,
to
and
call him Green Light Gold. That's
yeah,
the Wayans brothers. We used to call him Green Light Gold.
yeah. He managed the Wayans brothers too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did this movie for them. The only movie I ever did my whole life that I didn't wasn't my own movie that I didn't was a movie called Blankman that
Oh yeah, I
basically
remember with
killed my
Marlon.
career.
Yeah,
Yeah, it killed my career for about 3 years.
yeah.
And
That was with Damon Wayans, right?
yeah, but it was the best year of my life, Harlan. It was, and I had so much fun making that movie. I love those guys, and
Uh,
Damon's still one of my best friends. I love him. I had so much fun, and Eric produced it, and and over the years, people have loved that movie. It's amazing how much people love that. But it just came out and bombed, and I just went right into the toilet. But which is fine. It is what it was at the time. That's how I ended up blowing guys, Harlan, because of that movie.
I think that was a tough time too because Jim Carrey sort of set the template for big, broad, over the top movies, and so everyone in Hollywood was like, "Give me a crazy, over the top character. This is what people want." The problem was Jim was a master at doing those movies. He did The
It was.
Mask, he did Dumb and Dumber, he did Ace Ventura. So he was the king. He knew how to do it. And so anyone who came along under him, regardless of how good they were, how good the movie was, no one could get out of the fumes of Jim. And so all those types of movies just sort of struggled to get eyes because they just Jim made it. It was almost, it's sort of like getting on the ice and playing hockey against Gretzky or playing basketball against Jordan or playing football against Brady. Like Jim just owned that environment for, probably 7-8 years. And so other comedians trying to get in with a solo franchise kind of comedy character, it was almost
Yeah.
impossible until Austin Powers came along.
Well, to be fair though to Damon, I think Damon was a powerhouse, but he had come out with like Mo Money and a few movies that were big hits, and they thought, okay, he's the next Eddie Murphy, and he wanted to do that in living color character. I forget what his name. The guy that just
Oh, the
beat every.
clown?
No, yeah, Homie the Clown.
Homie the Clown, yeah.
Homie the Clown, and they wouldn't give him the rights to it, so he made up his own guy, Blankman, right?
Okay.
And Blankman, it was funny, and the jokes were there, and David Allen Greer and he were so great together, but he was soft.
Yeah.
Where Damon's strike zone was boom, boom, just and that's what his audience wanted him to be, and they just marketed it with him getting beat up in all the ads and everything, and I think it's just
Yeah,
it
you gotta
really
play into your strengths. I remember when I was working with Jim Carrey, there's a little beat when I would open for Jim when he was still doing stand up. And I remember Jim telling me when they did Ace Ventura, Jim said that he went into his guest house behind his house and he got all of his funny friends, and he said they locked themselves in there for a month, and he said they found all the funny, the best, strongest moments from his stand-up, because Jim was very physical on stage and experimented a lot, and he found a way to inject all that funny stuff into Ace Ventura so that he sort of knew stuff that worked going into the movie because he knew that it worked on stage. Now that's not always an easy transition, but because Jim's stuff was so physical and he was so physical, I think that's what made it. And I think you're right. I think Damon, he went too soft. He didn't have that kind of big physical, energetic stuff. He was more like reactive instead of proactive.
That's right. In that movie, then he came back with a movie called Major Pain, where he was real tough, and that worked.
Now, in terms of you as the director, Mike, was that a choice you had to fight with him on? Like, were you like, hey, Damon, we need more energy. We need you to be like more aggressive. No. Or were you directing him to be like sort of timid, or was it a battle for you with him?
Every bad move he made, I told him to do.
Yeah.
No. I said, make this guy a sissy.
You did?
No. But the fact of the matter is, here's the thing. When I had this movie came out called Indian Summer that I had done, which is based on my childhood, my summer camp, and it opened well for a little movie. It was like the number 1 and number 2 weeks in a row, and Damon went to see it and just said, hey, will you do this movie with me? And he was an old friend of mine from the Comedy Store and the comedy clubs. And I said, yeah. And my agents just said, that's the worst move you could ever make. Why would you do that? You're getting all kinds of offers now. And I said, this is me just like producing a friend's album. It's like a guy helping another, like an artist helping another musician do his album. And that's the way I looked at it. And they said, it doesn't work that way in the movies. And I said, well, you're wrong. And so I just went in. It was his script. He was the star. He was the producer. And I directed it. And I did what I was there to help. And to be honest, none of us saw what we were talking about. Was the problem. That's called 2020 vision is hindsight. Do you know that hindsight is 2020 vision?
Yeah.
So nobody knew that at the time. At the time, we thought that was great. So it wasn't like I was giving them the wrong advice but I believed in the concept. I believed in Damon. I loved the movie, and then we started testing it, and it tested. So did Sony. Everybody thought this was a major hit. It tested through the roof.
What? Every movie I've ever worked on, that's what they always say that. You probably know this. Every movie, oh my God, it's tested. They're telling us it's never tested like that. I'm not kidding. Every movie I've ever done, and I've done like 40.
That's not every movie.
Tested. It's crazy. And anyone I know who's doing a movie, they go, oh my God, we just did a screening. They said it tested through the roof. That I'm not saying that to mock you. I'm saying that it's like I think that doesn't mean much. It's always what happens, but
yeah. But I was just saying that the reason the thing that I came to feel, the reason that it didn't quite work was something that I came to over the years. So we didn't know there, but it was a funny fucking movie. You can't have David Alan Grier and Damon Wayans together, especially at that moment in their lives when every Sunday they were doing that show. They were the biggest thing on that show. other than Jim, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. No, it
and
was great. Yeah.
but the other side of it for me was, a lot of people called me and said, "Don't do it. Don't work with Damon. He's really hard to work with. He's this and that." And I didn't have one. We never had one argument the entire year. We just got along. We laughed, and I just loved working with him. And the whole thing was a joy for me. And not every movie that I've done has been a joy, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
of course.
so yeah, it might not have done good for my career at the time or the box office, but I look at that as one of the best movies I made because of
Yeah,
the great experience it was, and
yeah.
the friends I still have, and I'm not kidding you. When I go out now to play for live audiences, people come up to me all the time and said, "That movie Blankman was one of my favorite movies of my childhood."
That's the beauty of movies, man. They live in perpetuity. I think that's part of why we do it, because we know that what we do today will persevere and touch people in perpetuity, and it will, even if it dwindles off a bit as we get older. I still look at an old black and white movie on TV and I go beyond the movie. I go, oh, who was that guy, or who was that girl, or it's you leave an imprint on people, which is sort of special with what we do. So we're lucky that
It's funny you say that because when I first started making movies, I didn't realize that. I thought,
way. Right?
oh man, if it's the opening weekend, you're dead. And then I realized, no, they're just like books, man. They're around for a long time, and,
Yeah.
and you find that out. You even run into a director, and you go, hey, I watched your movie last night, and they go, oh, really? I go, yeah, we watched it last night in the basement, and it was great,
Yeah.
and it is like picking up a book off the shelf, and they do live.
Oh my God. When I was a kid, I found one of my favorite movies of all time when I was like, 14, 15 years old. And it was an old black and white movie from France. It was by the great Parisian director, Jacques Tati.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's
He
great.
did a movie called Mr. Julio's Holiday, or La
Love
Vacation
that
de
movie.
Monsieur Hulot.
All
And
his
I
inventions.
Yeah, he was. It's an amazing movie. To this day, it's one of my favorites. But it was way ahead of before I was even born, and the impact it had on me, and the joy that it brought me. Was it still lives inside me. And this is a movie that was made before I even existed. So we're real fortunate to be in sort of this magic industry.
That was a great movie, though. With all he's like a crazy inventor, and he had all those little things he would put together.
Oh yeah, he was great. You know what? I'm going to show you something. Hang on, this is a good example. I'll be right back. So, I did a movie called Rocket Man.
Yeah, I know. I know that movie. It was fun, man.
Not the Elton John one, but a Disney movie, and I
No,
did it
I know. I remember.
in the
Was it? Was
90s.
it? Wasn't it on Joe Roth's banner?
Yeah, Caravan Pictures, Joe
That's
Roth,
right. Yeah,
and Roger Birnbaum.
that's right.
And so I was doing a show last year, and this guy reached out to me at one of my shows. He came to the show. He came with his family, and he said, Rocket Man's one of our favorite movies. It touched us so much. We watch it all the time. It helped create a bond with our family. And this guy turned out to be one of the astronauts from the space station.
Wow,
And he took my movie into space. There it is, stuck to the window of the space station on DVD.
that's
And it was an
hysterical.
astronaut. He's like, this is a certificate of authenticity. And there's the astronaut, and he put the movie on the window of the space station right there. And so my Rocket Man movie actually went up into space. But this is an example of how movies touch every person, and in a way, the way the people that see them touch us back, because that was very moving to
That's
me.
really cool. That's
Yeah.
but you know what's also really cool is, and I know that in the old days you could watch like old Bogart movies on late night television and stuff, but things started changing with VHS where you could a guy like you could just like rent or own Jacques Tati or you could and now you can just download any movie and so that or stand-up specials could be watched at any time of day. So they really are like books off a shelf.
Yeah.
And that's really so you really are making pieces of work that will live on and you don't need to worry about its moment to moment popularity. You need to worry about you have to think about its quality it's long life.
Well, you also have to think about what it gave to you and not just what you're giving to the world, because by doing a movie, it's such an overwhelming process, from planning your shots to casting to props to costumes to locations to wardrobe to actually shooting it to getting your performances. And so you have to look at what it gave to you and how it made you grow, and the beauty that you had in that super complex experience, and that you're leaving that out there not just as a piece of entertainment on the surface, but as the director, as what a moment in your life, what a it's kind of a stepping stone of your whole progression, your journey.
Was this movie that you just made your first movie
No, it
you
was my
directed?
first. It was my first movie for like using someone else's money, like doing it for a studio.
I see.
I had done my own movie ahead of that, which I'll tell you this, Mike, I shot my first movie on my own time and on my own money years before, and I did everything from costumes to transportation to craft service to makeup to hair to shooting. I starred in it, I directed it, I wrote it, I did absolutely everything. And if I hadn't done it, I don't think I could have accomplished doing the movie that I just did called Wingman for another studio, because I learned, kind of going back to what I just said, I learned so much doing that other movie that it really prepared me for this one that I just finished. So everything is important, everything services each other, and sometimes it's not about how well a movie does fiscally, but it's about what you learned and what you can bring to the next experience.
That's right. And did you have a good time making Wingman?
Oh my God, it was one of the most intense things I've ever done. We shot a full feature movie in 15 days. I wrote it, I directed it, I reluctantly starred in it, and because we couldn't really find the right person to step up for a lower budget movie. It's hard to get a big star for a lower budget movie. So I was literally, I would get home, I'd get up at 6 in the morning, I'd get home at midnight. And the one thing I go is, why do my feet hurt? Why are my feet so sore? And I realized I didn't sit down the whole day. And that happened every day because I was just doing so much. It was such a whirlwind, but I survived it and I loved it. And now I just hope the movie comes out well. And we're right in just before I got on the line with you, I was doing some editing. So
I bet it's great. I bet it's
I hope
great.
so.
I ran into you at Carney's and the way you were talking about it, it felt like you just it felt like we were like we talked about our stand up, I mean, you just really were loving it, and
I loved it. I loved it. I pray that it comes out good because, we want it to be received well. You do all the work and you want it to come together, but it's out of my hands and we'll pull it together. And I just hope it comes out good and people like it. It's about
yeah.
a professional wingman who helps losers who can't get girls. And I kind of went against this whole woke world we're living in, and I purposely made it edgy as fuck. And the opening line is, the wingman sits down with his client and the client says, how does this work anyways? And the wingman says, Dude, I'm going to get you laid faster than an olive oil soaked butt plug bouncing down the side of Brokeback Mountain. We go from there. So that's the beginning line, and it just gets crazier from there. So we'll see.
That's great. That's great. It's a great premise too.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
great
it's really
premise,
fun.
and I think it's perfect time to go against the grain.
Yeah, and I'm not doing it to go against the grain on purpose. I would have written the same movie regardless. But it's just that we're in this time where everyone's so afraid and walking on eggshells, and I'm like, fuck it. That's not the way art works. Art doesn't stick around for your social and political agendas. Art is its own living, breathing beast, and if you don't like it, get out of its way, because it's not going to stop. It's going to run you, whether it's a painting or a play or a movie. Don't you dare try to put art in a cage, because art is untamable, and if you try to tame it, then there is no more art. So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And
Do you have a release date for it yet?
we don't have early because we're just editing it, so we probably won't know anything like that for probably 5-6 more months. So
the editing's fun, isn't it? Though that's a great part.
it's fun, but it's scary because you're like, oh, should I use that take? But that one, he twitched his eye just a little different. It's like, but that one, he twitched his mouth different. You're like, well, that one, there's a guy in the background who walked through, but wait, that one, the light's purple. Like, there's so much shit that goes into it, unless you don't care and you just go, just put it in. But I'm a real stickler for detail, and so it's really overwhelming, but in a fun way. It's so much, but it's great.
You know what my thing is, Harlan? I never have watched any of my movies ever again.
Yeah, I rarely watch mine. Yeah,
because you spend all this time going, oh, the wall behind him is all weird, so cut around that, and then you just go. If you do, you see all you do see are the mistakes, and that's the one thing you remember. You don't even. I don't know. I just figured.
You know what? You know what might help you, Mike? This is what I do, and maybe you can go back and watch your movies after hearing this. I remind myself that the only person that knows something's missing or is wrong is me. The people watching don't know that you couldn't use the take you wanted because a car went by. The people watching don't know that the light behind the actor was supposed to be yellow instead of purple. Only you know that. So if you
see, I thought you were going to say, here's what I thought you were going to say. Here's the tip, Mike. This will help you. Think of the entire audience taking a shit. You know that.
I don't know what that means, but are you showing?
No, you know that whole. You never heard that.
What?
You know that whole thing about when you go in an audition, if you're nervous, just think of the guy you're auditioning for just taking a shit, and then you won't be nervous.
No,
you never heard that.
No, I don't want.
I thought it was just to picture them being naked.
Yeah, no, I always heard. Picture the guys taking a shit. You won't be nervous.
Where'd you go to truck driver acting school or something? What the hell are you talking about?
That's exactly.
I went to acting school in Bakersfield or something. What's wrong with you? God, come on, Mike.
That's exactly it. And didn't you go there?
No. I don't even want to picture them naked, let alone taking a bowel movement. Good Lord.
I thought you were going to give me one of those crazy lines. The whole audience, Mike, they're just...
Wow. Mike, the only career where you want to picture that is if you're a plumber. Picture them taking a shit. And then you don't want to say it if you're a proctologist, because then it's going to get messy. But a plumber, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Plumber just all he wants to do is think of everybody taking a shit.
Yeah, because that's where the money is, baby.
That's like us just thinking about everybody's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah, that's right. Or at least you got to think you have a great sense of humor. That's all.
All right. Well, listen, I can't wait to see your movie, man. If you ever have any screenings or any, everything, I'd love to see it.
Well, I was just talking to my producer today, and we want to do one in LA when it's done. But I'll be honest, if it comes out crap, I don't want anyone to even see it ever. But if it comes out of the edit and I feel good about it, I'll be happy to invite you. But if
Okay,
not, you're
cool.
never going to hear. This will be the only time anyone's ever heard about it. Wingman.
All right. And everything else is good, man. So I'll see you around some of the clubs.
Yeah,
But
good, man.
Let
Let that spirit flow.
Excuse me?
Let that spirit flow, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate you coming on this. I've been wanting to come on and talk to you about all this stuff a lot, you know?
I'm
'Cause
honored
I'm
to
a big
be here,
fan of
buddy.
yours.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
The great Harland Williams, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks,
Love
buddy.
you, buddy. You're the best. All right. Harland Williams. God, I love that guy. I love him. He's
So nice.
He's one of a kind. He's like, I don't know, he's almost like the red skeleton of our generation or something. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but he's just Harland Williams. I think his movies, I bet it's great. I bet you
It
anything
sounds,
it's great.
oh my God. Yeah, it sounds awesome. What a premise. And for him to play that character seems like it's going to be hilarious.
He doesn't remember, but I wanted to direct Rocket Man.
Really? Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, but it was after Blankman, and he
Oh, wow.
but it's okay. But
Yep.
he's a great guy, and it's all good. It's all good. Got really great guests next week. I'm so excited about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. And next Tuesday, I'm at the Bourbon Room, and with God, it's such a great lineup: Jeremy Piven and Marlon Wayans and Matt Friend. Gosh, someone else I'm forgetting. I can't believe I'm forgetting someone else, but someone up, Jimmy Shin, obviously. My buddy Jimmy Shin is dude who promotes the show with me, but someone else is really great. And I'm forgetting. Sam Tripoli. Sam Tripoli. Great show. Great show. And that's at the Bourbon Room next Tuesday. And then February 10th, I'm at the Ice House with another great show with Catherine Blanford. Do you know her?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know it is. And Sam Tripoli and Fraser Smith and Vinny Fastline. It's just a great show. It's a really good show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's February 10th, Saturday night at 9:00 at the Ice House. Another great room. So that's it, man. I'm a lucky dude.
Yes, you are, Mike.
That's it. That's episode 58. Can you believe this, Patrick? 58.
We're cruising.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your support. We're on Apple. We're on that. We're everywhere. Just go and listen and like and subscribe on YouTube. I love you. Thank you.